there, this is Jen, and thank you for joining me on the Not Too Shabby Shop channel today. Today I am using the Paper Pad Club of the Month papers, which are Beautiful Wings and Blooms of Spring. And I'm actually using the Blooms of Spring paper pad this month for Kinder's Card Challenge. So I've already made one card using the paper pad over on my channel, and I will be creating the remaining 14 cards next week sometime. So if you need more ideas on how to use this paper pad, I'll have some more of those on my channel. Since I am using the other paper pad for that, I am going to be using Beautiful Wings today. Lots of beautiful papers as always. I love the paper pads that have the ephemera pieces because it just allows you to create more with the paper pad. And so I am going to go ahead and use that sheet. So I pulled out 3 sheets and I will be making 2 cards. And I thought I would grab some border dies. I go through my stash pretty regularly, but I haven't gone through my dies in a bit. And I was going through them and realized I don't use them, I feel like, often enough for the amount that they cost. And so I thought I'd go ahead and use some border dies today to make 2 cards. They are going to be very similar, so I'm just going to show the process for the first card. And I've cut the piece of pattern paper to 3 inches, and I believe on the other card I cut it to 2.5. It just depends how big the space is between the 2 pieces that you're going to cut with your border dies. So I'm going to go ahead and place both of those dies on this 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece of cardstock and basically remove the piece that is in between, and that is where the pattern paper is going to show through. This is a really simple, easy way to kind of show off that pattern paper and dress it up a little bit with some border dies. And then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of decoration to the pattern paper, but I didn't want it to be too bold. And so I'm using this Suede Shoes Catherine Pooler ink and really lightly going over that pattern paper with this stencil and creating that pattern on those pieces. And then I'll go ahead and take a piece of white cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5.5. And the reason I do this instead of attaching this directly to a card base is because I don't make card bases generally unless I'm going to mail them out. It's easier for me to store. And so basically when I'm creating cards, I am creating panels. And then once I mail them out, I will add them to a card base. And like I said, it is easier to store because I could put more in my storage with just the card panels compared to having the extra bulk of that card base. And so sometimes it does seem kind of like a waste of paper, but it works for me, and so that's my process. And I wanted to add just a slight amount of height to these pieces so they weren't flat against the card. And so I'm using some super thin foam. I believe I got this stack from Walmart a couple of years ago, but it's really thin, probably just a little bit thicker than paper. And so I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to that and add that to my border pieces. I also I used a tape runner as well as liquid adhesive just to make sure that the foam stayed flat, because in the past I've had issues with it pulling up with just some tape adhesive, and so that glue just gives it a little bit of extra hold. And then I'm going to grab the ephemera pieces. I went ahead and fussy cut these. These definitely could be cut with a scan and cut, but my craft room is kind of messy, and so I didn't feel like cleaning that area up, and so I just went ahead and fussy cut, which is really easy. These ones have kind of a border line, so I just cut right inside of that border line so that that line wasn't showing. But these are really easy to fussy cut. So for this card, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of that floral and that butterfly, and then I added the sentiment. And then my sequin trick is just to take some in my fingers and just throw them on the card. I overthink sequins more than any other part of card making. And so for me, it's just so much easier to just throw them, and wherever they land, I will adhere them. Of course, I don't use all of the sequins that I threw on this card, but I think it gave a nice variation of where the sequins are. So I'll add a few sequins with some liquid adhesive and then shake all of the extras off. And that looks way better than if I had overthought it, which I would have. So that's going to finish off that card. And then the second card is pretty similar. It has the butterfly and then a sentiment that says, "With brave wings she flies." I add a little bit of stickles to the butterfly. And I apologize for the pictures. I'm trying to do a little bit better at photography. And I'm using the portrait mode on this. And so it blurs out the background and sometimes it blurs out my card, and I didn't realize that until I sat down to edit, so I didn't have time to fix it. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is an awesome paper pack, and if you did like this video or find it informative, I would love a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Not Too Shabby channel. The design team's always got some awesome projects on here. So that's it for me. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.